Picture this. You're sitting on your couch on a random Tuesday night, phone in your hand, and you just moved $1,000 from your checking account into an index fund for the very first time. Not a savings account, not a high-yield account with that respectable 4.5% APY you've been quietly proud of. An actual investment account. And something feels different. You can't fully explain it, but it does. My name is Nico, and today we're going to talk about why that one moment, putting your first $1,000 to work in the market, quietly changes everything. Not just your net worth over time, but the way you see money, spend money, and think about money from that point forward. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why the first $1,000 you invest is the most important $1,000 you will ever put away. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. We break down the money stuff that actually matters, and we do it with real numbers and no fluff. Here's the thing about saving money. We're taught from a very young age that saving is responsible. Put something away every month, don't touch it, watch it grow. And for the most part, that is good advice. But there's a quiet problem hiding inside that advice, and most people never notice it until it's way too late. According to a recent bank rate survey, about 57% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. And among the people who do have money set aside, the majority of them are keeping it in a traditional savings account, earning somewhere between 0.5 and 1%. Even in a higher rate environment, the overwhelming majority of people have never made the move to actually invest. They save, they protect, but they never put their money to work in a way that truly compounds over time.
And here's where the trap kicks in. There is a psychological comfort to a savings account that investing simply doesn't have. You can see your balance. It's stable, predictable. If the number goes up by $50 next month, it went up by exactly $50. No surprises, no volatility, no sleepless nights. But that comfort, that predictability, it is quietly costing you something enormous. And let me show you the math. Let's talk about Marcus and Tyler. Same age, 28, same city, same income. Both of them managed to save up $1,000 in cash over the past year, and both of them are rightfully proud of that. It's not easy. But they make two very different decisions about what to do with it. Marcus plays it safe. He puts that $1,000 in a high-yield savings account at 4.5%. Solid rate. He tells himself he'll invest when the time is right, when the market calms down, when he has more saved, when he feels less stretched. You know this story. You've probably told it to yourself at least once. Tyler does something different. Tyler opens a brokerage account, drops that $1,000 into a basic S&P 500 index fund, and then goes back to his normal life. He doesn't check it obsessively, he doesn't add to it right away, he just starts. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Using the commonly cited long-run historical average return of 8% per year, which already accounts for inflation, Tyler's $1,000 grows to roughly $2,160 after 10 years. Not life-changing on its own, I get it, but keep going. Leave that same initial $1,000 in place for 20 years, and it becomes approximately $4,660. 20 years, one deposit, no additional contributions, 4.5 times the original amount.
Meanwhile, Marcus, even at that generous 4.5% rate, sits at around $2,400 after 20 years. And the moment interest rates drop, which they historically always do, that number shrinks considerably. But here's the part that will blow your mind, and it actually has nothing to do with the gap in final numbers. The real difference between Marcus and Tyler is not the $2,000 spread after 2 decades. It's what Tyler does next. Because something changes after you make that first investment. A switch flips, and Marcus never gets access to that switch. Here's what almost nobody talks about. The moment you have real money working inside the market, you stop being a passive observer of the economy and become an active participant in it. And that changes everything about how your brain processes money. Before Tyler invested, $1 was something to earn, spend, or save. Clean and simple. After he invested, $1 became something else entirely, a unit of future purchasing power, a seed. When Tyler sees $50 sitting idle in his checking account now, something in the back of his mind starts running the numbers. That's over $100 in 10 years. That's over $230 in 20. He doesn't spend the same way anymore. He doesn't see the same dollar sign. He sees a timeline. This is not theory. Behavioral economics research consistently shows that people who make even small initial investments are significantly more likely to continue investing than those who never start. It creates what psychologists call an identity anchor. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who is trying to get better with money, and you start thinking of yourself as an investor. And investors behave differently than savers. They think in decades, not months. They see market dips as discounts rather than disasters. They understand that volatility is not the same as risk. Time is the variable that matters most.
Marcus, on the other hand, is still waiting for the right moment. The market looks shaky, inflation is elevated, there's an election cycle. There's always something. And every year that passes without that first investment doesn't just cost him compounding returns. It costs him the identity shift, the rewiring, the mindset that changes the way you make every financial decision from that point forward. And that's the crazy part. The $1,000 was never really the point. It was the threshold, the line between thinking about investing and actually being an investor. Now look, I hear the objection. Nico, the market is volatile. What if I put in $1,000 and it drops 20% in the first 6 months? And I want to take that seriously because it happens. Markets go down. They always have and they always will. But here's the perspective shift that actually matters. When you're 28 and the market drops 20%, you're temporarily down $200. That is uncomfortable, but it is survivable. What is not survivable, financially speaking, is the decade you spend waiting for the perfect entry point, because that perfect entry point has never existed and never will. The math rewards time in the market, not timing the market. Some of you are also thinking about emergency funds, and rightfully so. Before you invest a single dollar, you need 3 to 6 months of living expenses in liquid, accessible savings. That is not optional. It is the foundation. But if you already have that covered and you still have money sitting in a second savings account earning 1%, you are protecting yourself from a problem you already solved at the cost of a future you could be building. Let's go back to Marcus and Tyler one more time, because this is the opportunity cost payoff, and it is genuinely staggering. The research is very clear that people who make an initial investment are far more likely to contribute consistently afterward. So Tyler, energized by the experience of watching his first investment tick upward even slightly, starts adding just $100 a month on top of his original deposit. $100. He cooks dinner one extra night a week. He skips one Saturday brunch. It adds up. Over 30 years, starting from his original $1,000 and adding just $100 per month at that same 8% historical average, Tyler's portfolio grows to over $150,000. Not through genius stock picking, not through inheritance, not through a salary that most people will never see. $100 a month, starting at 28. The math is brutal in the best possible way. Marcus is still waiting for the right time. And this is where I need you to really hear something. The wealth gap between investors and non-investors is not built on secret knowledge, special access, or extraordinary income. It is built on one thing: time. Compounding is the most patient force in personal finance. It rewards the people who start earliest, not the people who invest the most at once. And your first $1,000 in the market is how you buy that time. Here's what I want you to take away from this. The first $1,000 you invest is not about the money. It is about who you become on the other side of that decision. It is the moment you stop watching other people build wealth and start participating in that same process yourself. It is the invisible line between "I'll start investing someday" and "I am someone who invests." And the distance between those two identities is not talent or income or some complicated financial education you haven't gotten yet. It is one decision, one transfer, $1,000 placed somewhere it can actually grow. You do not need to have everything figured out. You do not need to pick the perfect fund or understand every nuance of the market. What you need is to start. Put something in. Watch it move. Feel what it feels like to have money working while you sleep. Because once you feel that, even just a little, you will never see a savings account as a long-term plan again. If this video helped you see your money differently, drop a like. It genuinely helps more people find this content, and that matters a lot to this channel. I've also got videos on how to build your first investment portfolio and exactly how compound interest works in practice, both linked in the description below. I'm Nico. Start before you feel ready. I'll see you in the next one.